Talmor, Shishin Magachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Alexis Ohanian. You may know me as one of the co-founders of Reddit, but more recently, a large part of my identity is being a father to my wonderful daughters. In my podcast, Business Dad, I hope to open the conversation about working parents a bit. You'll get to hear from a wide range of business dads, from Rainn Wilson and Guy Raz to Todd Carmichael and Shane Battier, to find out how they balance being a dad with a successful career. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, this is Brett the Hitman Hart.
This is Dina Parisi, 2015 IHRA Pro Mod World Champion.
Hi, I'm Fiona Forbes.
Hi, this is Jody Emery of Cannabis Culture and Pot TV.
Hey, I'm drummer Matt Chamberlain.
Hello, this is Melissa Etheridge.
Hi, this is Taylor Leanne Chandler, Michael Phelps' ex-girlfriend.
Hey, it's Rex Brown.
Seaball in the house, and you are listening to the Toddcast here on CKDJ, the hits of your life.
The Toddcast podcast
is powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, providing complete financing and mortgage services for residential and small commercial businesses. Visit them at citywidemortgage.ca.
Now, here's your host, Todd Hancock.
What is it about Canadian comedians, do you think? Maybe you heard me bring this up with John Doerr last week. John's show, Humor Resources, super funny. He's a comedian that I respect, admire his work a lot. When I brought it up with John, I'd mentioned John Candy, Jim Carrey, like Dan Aykroyd, Mike Myers, Rick Moranis, Phil Hartman. He said Phil Hartman wasn't Canadian, but Phil's Canadian. He was born in Ontario. Going back to the SCTV days as well, like Dave Thomas and Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, Martin Short, the Kids in the Hall came up. For whatever reason, there's always been something about Canadian comedians. And this week, the host of CBC Radio 1's Laugh Out Loud, the funny Ali Hassan is a guest.
I don't know why we have so much of it, but I know that we have an incredible work ethic. I think, particularly like outside of Quebec, there's no star system. And so to really get recognized, to showcase your talent, you got to be constantly at work. And when that work ethic travels to the U.S., and you got to, of course, again, work very hard to get into the U.S., you've got to have a fair amount of money, over $10,000 to $15,000 just for the lawyer's fees, never mind the actual moving and setting yourself up and the months that you won't be getting work. You have to be ready for that. So it's a costly affair. So you have to be well prepared for it. And yeah, you got to work pretty hard to get to that place too, So I think our work ethic really distinguishes us.
Interesting, right? Joining comedian Ali Hassan, she is an NPC Bikini champion. Nicole Cerrini is a guest this week.
Honestly, you just have to think about discipline. Discipline is what gets you your dreams. Discipline is what gets you to what you want. You are not going to have motivation. Honestly, I would say 80% of the time I'm not motivated, but I'm disciplined for wanting more. And so I just have that thought in my head, like, you know what? I want a better life for myself. I'm going to do this.
Right. I can't remember who it was. There was one of those like fitness gurus or whatever on Instagram. And they were saying, something to the effect of like, it didn't take you a day or a week or a month to get all of that weight on. It took you years.
Yes.
So for you to think that you're going to take the weight off or get fit within a month or whatever, it took you that long to get it on. Why do you think it would take that quick to get it off?
100%. And honestly, that's a huge issue that I have with my clients and my business. They always want a quick fix. I have people jumping on the keto bandwagon, things like that. And either they bounce right back to their normal habits or they're frustrated because it's not happening quick enough. But like you said, it takes time. It takes a lot of time and patience.
Yes, time and patience. Two things that, well, they're hard to come by. You're going to hear from this week's musical guest in just a second, the return of Montreal rock. Coming up shortly in Stop Me If You've Heard This Before, WBU heavyweight world boxing champion Adam Braidwood talking about the best boxers of all time. Can he nail it down to just one? That is powered by our friends at FKP MMA. Learn self-defense, build your self-esteem, meet some new friends, get fit doing it. My little guy Levi's been going a couple times a week for about a year and a bit now. He absolutely loves it. Find out why through Vancouver's #1 training destination, fkpmma.com. First, our first guest of 3, this week's musical guest, Mobile singer Matt Joly. Remember those guys? That's brought to you by Vibe Cave Studios in East Vancouver. If you've got a good song that just needs a great mix, look no further. Braden is the person you want to talk to, all sorts of genres. Here's a taste of some of a song by Tisa Rahim that he worked on called Dun Dun Dun.
I'm done, the house is burning down, but you're waiting to take out the smoke alarm. Now I'm done, no more warning signs, just the twisting of the knife, 'cause now I'm done. Ooh, yeah, I'm done meeting you.
Yeah, great little vibe there, right? Get huge mixes, killer sounds, and, well, how about that? A great vibe through VibeCaveStudios.com. Braden is the guy you want to talk to. So you've known about Mobile since 2006 when they released their debut album called Tomorrow Starts Today. And then they stormed Canadian radio, releasing 4 singles from that album. They went on to win the Juno Award for the New Group of the Year in 2007. They were nominated for the Album of the Year, but they lost out to Nelly Furtado's Loose album. The band announced they were breaking up in March 2011, and after over a decade away, they are back. Here's how that shook out.
Well, the thing is, to go back, is we broke up in like 2010, I think. And I walked away actually because we had a grant to do another record. We started writing, but I was just really unhappy with the band, and it was really tough because of the business. And we had multiple record deals, US deals that didn't turn out too good. At some point, man, it gets the best of you. It's just like you go on tour, man, you come back home. It's grueling, and then you don't make enough money anymore, and the record company lets you down. So I decided to quit, and then I went solo. I did a solo project, and to be honest, I tried to do something a bit more pop, and I went on my own. And just to be honest, it was more to prove myself I could do something, outside of the band. Even though I never saw myself as a solo artist, solo singer, I just did it because I had to prove myself I could. But it was really early in the process. Then I realized that I don't like it, so I quit. And then the guys actually, because we've been friends for 35 years. I mean, even more now, 40 years, because we met when we were kids, like 5 years old. Yeah. So the thing, we've always been in touch. But we never talked about getting the band back together. And at some point, the guys were jamming, and they were like, Matt, you got to come back. And I didn't want to. It's just, because I got hurt so bad with this whole thing, because you think about having a career and you worked all your life for that, and you live the best of times. Like, man, I mean, you tour, you sing with Chris Cornell. For me, it was like, those were the best days, going to see you guys going out west, touring Europe, this and that. It was amazing. I mean, playing festivals with the Strokes and James Brown, and it's a dream. And then you lose it, and it's so hard to get back from that, because it's like nobody knows unless you've lived it, that it's like, somebody's going to take it away from you. It's like, Todd, you can't do radio or podcast anymore. It's like, reinvent yourself. It's over, right? So for me, it was really tough, and for the guys too. So I was scared of going back for that. I didn't want to feel that anger and that disappointment towards the band and towards myself. If I go back, is it gonna make me feel shitty again? So I was like, so I hesitated for quite a while. And at some point, Frank, I think, convinced me. He's like, let's go, I think we should get together. And I said, okay. And the thing is, I wanted to prove the guys that I still had something to offer, and Christian and I have worked on a song that's on this upcoming record. It's called Mother and Lovers, way back in the days when we were doing the third record that never came out. And I worked on the tune by myself. I went to a studio. I got this engineer guy that I know, and I recorded the whole thing. So I showed up to the meeting with something in my pocket. I was like, all right. So also I felt like, because things didn't turn out too good when we broke up, obviously, I felt, certain things that happened, and I was not comfortable about coming back. And I was like, personally, I was like, well, I felt like I had to prove myself and prove them that I was worth, coming back to the band. Also that this is me now. And so I brought the song, right? I recorded the song. I brought to them. So we had a meeting, it was great. And then I played them the tune. They were like, fuck, man. And they were like, well, this is amazing. This is great. And it kind of, everybody was pumped. And then I suggested, like, instead of getting back together now, we should put a show together to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Tomorrow Starts Today. It would be great. Just do one show, no pressure. We just play the tunes, in Montreal. We do that, no pressure. And then we'll see. We'll see what it's like to rehearse and how I feel personally, because I was kind of like, I didn't want to go into a rehearsal anymore. I was like, man, just singing was like, oh. So then we did that. It was great, man. We started rehearsing. It was like, dude, man, we still have that thing, and it's still so powerful. And everybody had that. It's just that youthful energy that we still had. I mean, being older guys now, but still felt like shit, man. It's like when we were 16, same guys that we've known for forever. And then we played the show. It was amazing. Probably one of the best shows we ever played. And we haven't played together in 10 years.
It's cool to have Mobile back on the scene. I remember hanging out with the band when they had stopped by Seafox. I was doing the afternoon show and the rock report, and they were just always so down to earth, just a fun, good group of guys. And over the years, between the debut in 2006 and the breakup in 2011, you heard their music in NHL and FIFA video games. They had a song in Bon Cop, Bad Cop, which is a cool movie if you haven't seen it. They had a song placed in an episode of One Tree Hill as well. I think we talked to Matt for just over 40 minutes. You can hear it right now at our iTunes and Spotify SoundCloud accounts. You can see it as well at our YouTube channel. They're all at Toddcast Podcast. And as always, we covered a lot of ground. Axl Rose singing with AC/DC came up. So did binge watching Copenhagen Cowboy and White Lotus. And we got him to recommend some rock autobiographies.
I read Mark Lanigan. I'm a huge Mark Lanigan fan. He passed away last year, I think, and I'm a huge fan of his. Yeah. And is it Devil in a Coma? Because I read 2 of his books. It's so good. It's insane what he went through, that guy. And he's so underrated, right? Lanigan was like Kurt Cobain's best friend and Lane Staley's best friend and confident. And then he went with Queens and then he did the Gutter Twins with Greg Dooley, who was my ultimate, idol, as far as music goes. And his book is so good, man. And he's such a good writer. He's like a Leonard Cohen of his time, with his tone and whatever. Yeah. And he's been through so much. I read his book, and I read Matt Sorum's book too.
It's really on good. My list. I haven't got it yet, but I heard it.
It's great. It's great. It's him too. I was reading those stories, like, man, if you think you're rock and roll, no, man, insane. It's insane. He was a drug smuggler, and then his first gig when they played Rock in Rio in '91, right? It was his first gig with the band, so he rehearsed without Axl because Axl was never there during rehearsals. Yeah, and they went to Brazil and they landed in Brazil. And he was really into the cocaine and shit. And he's like, I landed in Brazil, and then those guards are all there with fucking machine guns, and then police and this and that. And he's like, do you need anything? He's like, yeah, like an ounce of cocaine or some crazy shit. He's like, yeah, sure. So he went to his hotel room. They brought him the cocaine, and he was on coke for 3 days straight with no sleep. And he went to play the show, right? And I'm like, I read his book. I'm anxious I'm like, how can you fucking... And then he shows up in Rock in Rio. There's like 100,000 people, and he never played a gig with the band with Axl. And he's like, dude, I haven't slept for 3 days and then somebody calls my hotel room. You gotta go. He's like, oh my god, 3 days passed and I haven't slept, and I've been on coke bench for 3. I'm like, are you crazy? And then he plays. And then I went and watched the gig again, and I'm like, you can tell the guy. He's like, he's a powerhouse. I'm like, dude, those guys are like. It's so fun to read, man. I was reading this. Oh my god, this is great.
Totally, man. They're like legendary, right? And they,
man,
if you haven't read the Foo Fighter, Dave
I did.
book,
Well, no, I didn't read the storyteller Dave Grohl, but I read another book on the Foo Fighters, which was written by
blue
what's
cover,
his name?
got a red thing on it as well.
What's his name? The writer. He's a famous writer, especially the hard rock stuff. What's his name? Actual mention him
like
on
literally on my.
Oh, check this out! It's good. What's his name?
Beside my bed on the bedside table.
What's his name? Actual, I think mentioned him in "Get in the Ring," right when he blasts all those writers on that song.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mick Wall.
That's right. Yeah.
Mick Wall. He wrote. I wrote the book. He wrote on the Foo Fighters. It's pretty good.
It's
great band,
good.
man. Too
very good. But of course, Dave's is better, right? And the fact that Dave like read the whole book as well, like if you wanted an audiobook style, like
totally. Yeah, I'm gonna get into that too. It's just like I was on vacation, Florida and then California. Well, in Florida, I read the Matt Sorum in like 2 days. My wife was like, "Do you have dinner?" I'm like, "I'm busy, reading."
That's about the only thing that I can really sit down and read for hours is like rock autobiography. Like if you've never read the Keith Richards' Life,
I did, of course. Yeah, I got it.
That's probably my favorite.
Oh, so good. One of my favorite too is Duff McKagan. His book it's so easy in other lives. It's called.
Okay.
Dude. His story is insane.
Yeah.
Duff was his story too when he was a kid. He used to steal cars. He was like 12 years old, and he was part of all those like punk bands, in Seattle. Then he moved to LA and started with Guns, and then he was like a crazy drinker, like insane. He used to drink a gallon of vodka a day. Think on it. You remember him back in the day. He was wearing gloves because his hands were cracking. He was losing his hair. He said he didn't have a glass of water for 5 years. He was only drinking vodka, a gallon. And then his pancreas exploded. That's how, and then he went to his story is insane. Then, his rehab and how he got clean. It's impressive. If you think you can get clean, you read that book and you're like, dude, if Duff can do it, you can. I'm telling you.
It's crazy to think about not drinking water for 5 years, hey? It's not often I sit down and rip into a novel, fiction or nonfiction, but I have all the time in the world for rock autobiographies for whatever reason. There was just so much good stuff in our conversation, it's impossible to fit it all into the weekly podcast. Like Matt talked about touring with Chris Cornell back in 2008 for the Canadian tour dates, playing festivals and growing up to the music of Duran Duran and the Police and the Cure, thanks in part to his sister. We talked about his first concert, his love of skateboarding as a kid, and how it turns out he still actually rides today, which is crazy, and how he was a Star Wars nut as a kid.
I really loved Star Wars when I was a kid, and Indiana Jones, but I was really into that stuff. I didn't play a lot of video games. I was really more into really listening to music a lot, to be honest, in my room and drawing or listening to music. And I was really, I love music ever since I was really young. That was my thing. It was really like I skateboarding too. Obviously I still skateboard a bit, but I was really into skateboarding. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because the culture skateboarding too. I was not super good in sports like basketball, whatever. I didn't really care. I was good in hockey, but skateboarding was a revelation, when
it's culture too, right? It's
the culture too, like exactly. And also the way those dudes, those videos back in the day, you go to a skate shop and you see those guys skating and I still wear like Dogtown shirts and stuff like that because I love that culture. It stayed, it sticked. And I went to LA a couple weeks ago, and I went right where the downtown area was in Santa Monica, and I was like, man, it's just so cool. That thing was, but it's gone now. See, I went to LA and I was in California for 7 days. I didn't see one skater, no skateboarders on the street. I haven't seen one. I was like, shit, man. It's like, where are the kids? There's a big skate park, as you know, in Venice. There's all the kids there, but on the street, riding the street, I haven't seen one skateboarder. I was like, this used to be the place, you know.
This is like Lords of Dogtown, like where
exactly
everybody.
There was no, and then my buddy and I was like, we haven't seen any. I was hoping to see a bunch of kids like, no.
Weird.
It changed so much, man. I think it's the world we live in now. It's just the reality of like people having so much. You can stay home and do so much, and you don't have to go out and do anything.
And can't you just relate to that big time? There's something about Star Wars. You couldn't go anywhere in the 80s without seeing it. Remember, I think they teamed up with, was it McDonald's or Burger King? Where they had those big glass tumblers. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, Chewbacca. Very cool. We got Matt talking about recording the new album as well, Roadmap to Redemption, and what that was like, how it came to be. That's out at the end of the month, within a couple of weeks from now. He shared a near-death drowning story, talked about fire prevention, generational differences, and the lost art of listening to a record. Get with it. Knowing he's a big hockey fan, we talked about the Canucks, the Habs. Who's gonna get Bedard?
Yeah, so your Canucks t-shirt, your hood, man, the best logo ever. Come on, are they gonna?
Pretty good. I like it now that the new one doesn't have the white in the in the middle. It's fucking.
We talked about this before, right? You remember? The Canucks logo. I mean, come on, dude.
It's the best logo for sure.
It's the best.
Are you keeping up with Bedard and like? What do you think the chances of like a team like I don't know the Habs maybe getting Bedard like and seriously how much would that fucking change that team,
dude? I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen for some reason. It's like it seems like fate is
gonna be Arizona or some bullshit, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just said it. I don't believe in it because it's like in 2023 the NHL. It's like the rest. You know, it's just it's a business, and it's like obviously, you know, it's better for the NHL for Bettman when it's in US. I mean, when was the last time Canada won the cup? Is it Montreal '93? I think it is.
It's been a while.
I think it's the Canadiens '93. Canucks went to the
finals a couple times, but like
'94, right? And then what was
2010?
Right, exactly. But I mean, I was watching. I'm a huge Pavel Bure fan, and I was watching clips of him and Gino Ojic and the team you guys had back in '94. Such a good team,
killer team.
I mean, but no, I don't think we're gonna get Bedard. But I wish because he's that guy.
Dude, he's like
next level. It's insane.
I mean, it takes more than one person to change a team, but that's a pretty good start. That's a pretty good start.
But you're right. I don't think we're going to get him. Yeah. The thing is so disappointing. I think you guys too have been going through a hard time with the Canucks, you know, recently, obviously. I know. It's been tough. It's been tough. Same here in Montreal. The thing is like it's either we're like in just not bad and then we suck. And then I'm like, let's start over. You know, the thing is in Montreal, I don't think they've been game to do it, and the organization they always been trying to just do the playoffs and just sell some tickets. Obviously, I understand too. It's a business, but I mean, I don't pay $300 to go watch a game. You know, either I have free tickets and I'll go, or I don't.
Yeah, man. Like I took my family to a Canucks game about a month.
How much was it? Like
it was like close to $800 when you factor in like parking and the fucking $15 beers and.
Are you kidding?
Who the hell can afford that, man?
Who the hell can afford that? I think Toronto is even more expensive. You think on it. It's just it's disappointing because I feel like it's the same with rock concerts now.
Toddcast Podcast musical guest visits are powered by Vibe Cave Studios in East Vancouver. Huge mixes, killer sounds, great vibes. Visit them at vibecavestudios.com.
is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
And now, stop me if you've heard this before on the Toddcast podcast.
There's a good chance you'll know the name Adam Braidwood, and for a couple of reasons. He's a WBU heavyweight pro boxer, and prior to that, he was a pro football player, a defensive end with, at the time, the Edmonton Eskimos, which of course, with the name change, now the Elks. Adam's a beast. He's 6'4", 250. He's a two-time winner of the Strongest Man Award in Washington State. Adam hasn't been in the ring since 2019, which was a TKO win over Andrew Satterfield. His overall record is 14 wins, 2 losses, and if you follow boxing, you'll remember this. It's kind of hard to forget. Adam boxed heavyweight Tim Hague back in June of 2017. Tim suffered a brain hemorrhage after being knocked out and died a couple of days later. We did touch on that during the full conversation. Adam also talked about being a pro football player and how that helped him out with his boxing career. He shared his first concert story, seeing Rob Zombie. We talked about the Mayweather-McGregor boxing match. Legalized weed came up. So did the importance of family and friends. And stop me if you've heard this before, Adam talked about who he thinks is the best boxer of all time. An impossible question to answer.
Best boxer of all time, see, it's tough because I look at a lot of different factors, right? So to me, a fighter should be ferocious. He should put pressure on people. He should try to finish guys, and he should have solid fundamentals. And, when you look at a guy like Mike Tyson, I think he had all of those things, right? And he had, not a typical heavyweight physique, and he was able to basically dismantle everyone. Were his skills unreal? Yeah. As far as pure boxing is concerned, I got to look at guys. Man, this is a tough question.
I know, right?
Because we'll get deeper and deeper. We'll start talking about Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard. Best pure boxer. To be honest with you, I think Vasyl Lomachenko right now has better fundamentals and skill level than anyone that I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wow.
And he's currently fighting right now, and if you ask anyone, he's almost never out of position. His footwork is flawless. His punches are crisp. He's always in position. He's never vulnerable. And if you look at other fighters throughout history, they all showed chinks in their armor at one point in time. It's yet to be seen whether he can live up to his potential.
Stop Me If You've Heard This Before on the Toddcast podcast is powered by FKP MMA, Vancouver's #1 training destination at fkpmma.com.
Yes, I came back to find a love. Didn't find it here. Didn't find none of it here. Yes, I came back, so thought there'd be someone for me, someone that was right for me. 'Cause if you're planning to come to this town, say you're better off turning around. 'Cause yeah, I've been here for a while. These chicks ain't my style. I'm so sick of masquerades. people say, and all the things people always say. Yes, I'm so tired of all the maybes. Yeah, I've been busy lately. Yes, they've all been so busy lately. Cause if you're planning to come to this town, say you're better off turning around. Yeah, I've been here for a while. These chicks ain't my style. My style. My style. Yeah, they ain't my style.
I cannot wait for his night with us. Ivan Hartle, his song is called Ain't My Style. And you're 10 days away now from his show with the podcast on Saturday, March 31st. Blue Light Studio, East Vancouver. It's another Blue Light Sessions. Just super, super fun nights. If you haven't been, just think of this. Acoustic, Q&A. There's a couple sets. You get to ask questions as well. If you've been, you know. These nights are filmed, by the way. Heads up in case, you don't want to be on a promo video or whatever. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be, but just in case, heads up. $20 in advance through eventbrite.ca. That's eventbrite, BRITE.ca. $25 at the door. 25 bones for a show like that's not bad. Doors are at 7 o'clock. Shows at 8 o'clock. We'll go till about 9:30, 10-ish, something like that. Played you a new song for Dead Quiet. It's called The Hanging Man, and those boys have been sitting on their album for about a year now. Was over at their drummer's place, Dana, I guess a couple months back now. Smoked a joint, listened to the whole album. It is deadly, pun intended. They will be releasing that album 4 in the spring. Now, coming up in just a few minutes in Listen to This, actor Carrie Cahill talks about landing the role of Diane in The Walking Dead. A little bit of skill, a little bit of luck. That is powered by 7-year sponsor Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. RV service and repairs, ICBC accredited. You can find them on Facebook and on Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies. First, the second of 3 Toddcast guests this week, our sporting guest, NPC Bikini champ, Nicole Cerrini. That is powered by Hand Over Hand Textiles in Vancouver. Naturally dyed goods for your home and body. Amazing stuff on their website. They only use pure plant extracts and natural fibers. In fact, it's good for Mother Earth. Locally owned, check. Locally operated, check. Find them at handoverhandtextiles.com. So Nicole is a registered nurse, a certified nutritionist. She has 2 bachelor degrees, one in nursing, the other in wellness, health promotion, and injury prevention. She talked about how COVID gave her the time and chance to become a competitive bodybuilder.
Yes, COVID was the time frame where I was kind of like, you know what? Like, this is ridiculous. I need a new path in life. But it wasn't because of COVID. I had been feeling for a really long time that I was meant for more. And I couldn't explain it. I still really can't explain it. But I just felt like, I was working in the hospital as a nurse. I'm like, I'm not meant to be doing this. It just isn't fulfilling to me. So I just bit the bullet, told my husband, I'm going to do this, started doing it, and I love it. And it's kind of just escalated from there.
Yeah, that's cool. And so what's the business? If you want to plug the business, how can people get a hold of it online?
Yeah, so it's Nicole Cerrini Health and Wellness. My website is just NicoleCerrini.com. It's a nutrition-based platform for my clients. So I help with weight loss, but I also help with a whole lot of other health issues. And it's all rooted through nutrition. It's more of a holistic type care plan. I dive into your lifestyle, your stress levels, your sleep, So it's very all encompassing. I've had great success with it. So it's going well.
Isn't it amazing what you can do when you're faced with adversity? The full talk with Nicole is about 20 minutes long. You can hear it. You can see it. We did it on Zoom. All of our social media platforms, all at Toddcast Podcast. Also on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. Through her website, NicoleCerrini.com, she creates personalized health and wellness programs for your specific needs. And of course, we got into it with her, talking about discipline and motivation, career highlights. Channing Tatum and Ryan Reynolds. Chronicles of Narnia came up. Seeing John Mayer in concert. We talked about a lot about fitness and working out, nutrition, because the foods you eat can actually cause or prevent disease. Did you know that? And she talked about her cheat foods as well.
Right now with I'm in a building phase, so I definitely have to hit my macros every day, but I have a very high metabolism, so I don't let myself stick to like a very specific meal plan daily. If I'm hungry, I'm going to eat more, but I do stick to certain foods. You know, the classic chicken and rice every day is basically my go-to. Ground turkey, rice cakes, peanut butter, protein shakes, things like that. But I definitely do let myself have those cheat meals. Once a week, sometimes more, it depends. But yeah, I'm not crazy strict right now. Obviously in prep, it's a different story, but.
Yeah. You know, and a few questions down, I was going to ask you about what are your cheat foods when you're like, screw it, I'm eating whatever I want.
So honestly, my go-to probably would be pizza. I would say that's my number one. Love it. My number two would be a really good homemade mac and cheese. I'm a big pasta fan. So love that too. And
are you worried about losing the metabolism? Because, you know, I'm almost 50. And when I turned 40, suddenly my metabolism just fucking went out the door. Like,
that's what I keep hearing. But honestly, no, I'm not worried. I have never had a problem. And my mom has also never had a problem. And that's kind of what I look to too, you know? Sure. So I'm hoping I will keep the luck going throughout my life.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know how they do it, like staying on track and not eating too much or too late. Sometimes it just feels like, you know, food in general is a cheat food. And we got into a lot of stuff with Nicole, like the music that she grew up around, like the Beatles and country music. Personal trainers came up. So did Dreams, the Weather Kitty app. And imagine if you had a superpower.
Oh my gosh. I have always wanted to be able to fly. I think that would be awesome.
I know, right? I'm always jealous of the people that are like, yeah, man, I always have those flight dreams.
I know.
I've never had a flight dream ever. Not that I can remember.
I haven't either. I know. That would be so cool.
Yeah. Do you remember your dreams? I don't ever remember my dreams.
You know, occasionally. And honestly, I only remember them if they're bad. Like, I actually had a dream that my mom was murdered a few weeks ago, which was awful. Wow. And I don't remember exact details, but I just remember that she was murdered and I was going to her funeral. I know, awful. But
that's like a wake up right away, call mom, make sure she's still cool.
And I did. I texted her right away. I'm like, you okay? So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Red Truck Beer, delivered fresh, the official beer of the Toddcast podcast.
If it's all the time that you need, baby, I will stand here out of mind. Thoughts in a million unhealthy places, but my heart stays in the same. Lost on you, trying to get well. It ain't fair, it ain't right. All these things you're doing to my mind. How's it so easy for you? You tell me you need me, and turn around and leave me high and dry. How's it so easy for you to lie? Keep that in mind for the next time. There's a chair and it says not trying to brush it off this time, I swear. You see these days, they've been so fucking hazy. Like all the love I thought we made was true, well I guess it wasn't true at all. It ain't fair, it ain't right, all these things you're doing to my mind. How's it so easy for you to lie? You tell me you need me and turn around and leave me high and dry. How's it so easy for you to lie? You say that you're lonely, even though you got me by your side. How's it so easy for you to lie? Keep that in mind for the next time. It ain't fair and it ain't right, all these things you're doing to my mind. How's it so easy for you to lie? Tell me you need me and turn around and leave me high and dry. How's it so easy for you to lie? You say that you're lonely, even though you got me by your side. How's it so easy for you to lie? How's it so easy for you to lie? Keep that in mind for the next time. Oh, the next time. Keep that in mind for the next time. Yeah. Oh, the next time.
Your best way to hit the slopes this winter is with the Cypress Mountain Sky Card. Visit cypressmountain.com for details.
And now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
Chances are you'll likely best know actor Carrie Cahill as Diane from The Walking Dead, but she's been in a ton of stuff you'd know from over the years. Free State of Jones with Matthew McConaughey. She was Lieutenant Whitley in Terminator Genesis. She was in NCIS New Orleans, True Detective, Snitch, Battleship, and a bunch more. And it was a really good interview. She's a gifted actor, engaged, chill, relaxed, which you'll hear in the full 23-minute conversation. Carrie talked about what led her down the acting path, the hardest thing about acting. She told the story about seeing Lilith Fair as her first concert. We talked about legalized marijuana, the shows that she was binge watching at the time. She shared a gnarly near-death story being held at gunpoint. We talked about Ryan Reynolds and how the role of Deadpool was kind of made for him. And Carrie told the story of landing the role of Diane in The Walking Dead and how it all shook out. Listen to this.
So I had auditioned for The Walking Dead about probably 7 or 8 times over the course of the 6 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And this time I actually auditioned for Gavin's role. They were considering having a woman play that, and I auditioned with those. They mess up the sides so nobody can really know what's going on, but I auditioned for that, and I didn't get that one, obviously. So what happened is basically, like, I think 4 days later, my agent called me and was like, so you didn't get Gavin, but, and she was like, you know, Scott wants you for Diane. And so what I've figured out happened is, you know, if you're a showrunner for any TV show, you sort of keep a little roster either in your head or in, like, sort of a back corner of your office of people that you want to use that are good, but they didn't fit that role. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what I had landed on. And so I got I did not audition for Diane. I just sort of got chosen for it, which feels really cool, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Right?
Yeah, it really does. It just feels amazing when you're like, wait, what? How did I get this role?
Yeah.
Listen to This on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC-approved repair shop. Visit them on Facebook and Twitter at Tedco RV Supplies.
Traces of me find the pain. I can make this harder than it has to be. Bring it on, I say, bring it on. This time I'm not weak. Bring it on, I say, bring it on. It's what I'm waiting for. How will I know not to run away again? How will I know just to free myself and stay? Face what's inside of me right away. While I fade to nothing overnight, it could change. I need a change. Bring it on, I say, bring it on. I need to find me right away. Bring it on, I say, bring it on. It's what I'm waiting for. How will I know not to run away? Just to be myself and stay. I'm ready to feel this blood away. Before our drum comes out, I'm ready to feel this blood away. Oh, now. Traces of me find the pain. Bring it on, I say, bring it on. It's what I'm waiting for. Oh, now. How will I know not to run away again? How will I know just to be myself and stay? I'm ready to feel this blood away. Traces of me find the pain.
Solid song, solid band. They are the thick of it, and a great song for them called Traces. Next month, they are playing in downtown Vancouver at the Roxy, and I bet you'll probably see that song. It's a Saturday night, April 22nd, Everreal, and the thick of it. Doors are at 7 o'clock for that. I played you Spendo, and that was their song called Easy to Lie, and they just had their EP release party at the Wise Hall, East Vancouver, just a couple of weeks back now. Great night. Overall, it was a packed house. Man, those boys can play. We posted a couple of videos on our Facebook page, also on our YouTube channel, if you feel like checking that out. Speaking of live music, find a small list of indie shows that are happening locally with the indie scene at toddhancock.ca. If you are playing a show, or maybe you're checking out, if it's indie, let us know about it. We'll post it up at the website. That is brought to you by our friends at Mystic Rhythms Rehearsal Studios. We're talking over 40 years experience in the music industry. Great jam spaces out in Langley. Find out more through mysticrhythms.ca. Okay, our final guest of episode 298 is comedian Ali Hassan, this week's entertainment lifestyle guest, powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best craft cannabis, and psilocybin dispensary. You can also get oils and hash and all kinds of edibles and peyote and DMT. It's crazy. The website is amazing. And by the way, at registry, mention that you heard about them through this podcast. That will unlock a hidden category on their website. All right. Also use the code TODCAST for 10% off your entire order through sacredmeds.ca. ep298.com. So you'll know Ali Hassan for several reasons. Most likely the host of CBC Radio 1's weekly show, Laugh Out Loud, which you can also get on Sirius XM. He's currently doing a stand-up tour called Does This Taste Funny, which is rolling through the Lower Mainland. It's at the Anvil Theatre in New Westminster on April 19th, and you'll love the premise. Ali was a chef for about a decade, and the show kind of looks at his time in that industry, his connection to fine cuisine, his struggle with overeating. So yeah, there's definitely something unique about this stand-up show.
There is something to this show. I was a chef for many years. I was a chef and a caterer and a cooking instructor. And prior to that, I was sort of a wannabe food show host. And I actually started doing stand-up comedy because I was like, well, you can't really practice on television, but I could practice at these open mics, and I could build my confidence in front of a, quote unquote studio audience. I could write some jokes about food and just build my confidence and develop a persona in general. And I stepped on stage and I fell in love with stand-up immediately. So then I had like two goals, but originally comedy was a means to an end. This was like, this is going to help me get on television as a chef or a food television host.
Interesting. I see.
Yeah.
I feel the exact same way. Like I've been doing broadcasting since the mid 90s, radio stuff for 20 years, podcasting now for about almost 10. But if it wasn't that, it was definitely like, I love working with food. I love just cooking and the world that you get and kind of get lost in that world. Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the greatest challenge for me, you have kids, Todd?
Yeah, I've got two boys. 12.
Two boys. Yeah, I read about that. You have that on your website in your
That's
bio, right? And I don't know if you went through this. There's like this dilemma of like, I want to teach these kids to be independent. I want to teach them life skills, swimming, self-defense, cooking. I mean, I rank cooking right up there.
Sure.
And then they come into the kitchen to help me. And I'm just like, man, get the hell out of here. Because it's like my meditative space. I operate with a certain level of precision and comfort in the kitchen after so many years. And I really have to squash that desire. I don't know if you remember that character. I think Chris Kattan was on SNL. He was Nick, the IT guy. And he would come in and people would go, oh, hey, Nick, listen, there's something flashing on my screen. And I tried to, and he'd be like, move. That was his line. He would just go, move. Yeah. I feel like that sometimes in the kitchen. Like, is this garlic? Did I chop this properly, Papa? I feel like I'm like, move.
Love what Ali does. Love what he's done. You've seen him as part of the Just for Laughs Cross Canada tour that was hosted by Rick Mercer. Well, he was in Breakaway as well, French Immersion. He was Uncle Stevie in Goon, which is a great show. And because he creates so much content that we love watching, we talked to him about what he's been binge watching lately with a little tip of the hat to Ted Lasso. The differences of generations came up, and so did comic books and hockey cards growing up with Eddie Murphy's comedy.
Eddie Murphy comes to mind very quickly, but the truth is, I really loved, my dad would watch Carson, and sometimes he'd let me stay up and watch it, but it wasn't ideal.
Yeah.
But he would let me watch it. But I remember this is like late 70s, early 80s. I remember like Gary Shandling, Richard Belzer, Joan Rivers, like these characters, these names meant nothing to me. And then later, 5 years later, I see a show. I go, oh, it's the guy. I saw that guy. I was really excited about those late night comics. But to me, they were like the same as like magicians. Like it was as esoteric and as unrealizable a goal as magic. I was like, I don't even know. Like, I couldn't even start to conceive of how they got to that stage. I was just way too young to even think of this as a career or even, think about the money or anything. I was like 8 to 12 years old. In that period, my favorite thing to do was watch comedians on late night television. I just loved that. And I remember my dad would absolutely no Saturday Night Live. That was out of the question. It was too inappropriate.
How about SCTV?
SCTV was okay. SCTV was okay. I don't know. It had a little bit more of a Canadian sweetness to it, maybe. But I think, the days of Belushi and Chevy Chase and Bill, maybe it was, Saturday Night Live was
different,
different and a little bit too vulgar for my, I guess, 8-year-old, 9-year-old mind.
I do remember watching Delirious as a kid and absolutely busting a gut. Funny, because I tried watching it on Netflix a while back, and I got maybe like 10, 15 minutes in and was like, it's okay. And I just kind of turned it off. The full talk with Ali Hassan is posted now. It's over 40 minutes long. You can hear it, see it. It's at our iTunes and Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube accounts, of course, all over our Facebook and Twitter accounts as well. It's interesting to know that Ali originally wanted to be a chef, right? Because the point was he wanted to create a TV cooking show. And considering the stuff that you've seen him in, like Sort of, Run the Burbs on CBC, Blood and Treasure, Designated Survivor, Odd Squad, Hudson and Rex, Working Moms, Murdoch Mysteries, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, killing it on all of these shows. He's a natural. And he was open about talking about literally anything and everything from Iron Maiden to Metric and Feist, Carson, SNL, SCTV. He shared a near-death driving story. Superpowers and time travel came up. So did the World Juniors and Connor Bedard. We talked about cancel culture. Is it real or not?
Well, it's a great way to phrase it. Is it or isn't it? Because sometimes you're like, it's not really a thing. When the Bill Maher's of the world, what is he on his 4th show on a major network? And he's talking about cancel culture. You've never really been canceled. One time you had to apologize for something because some advertisers were going to pull, advertising from your show. You have not faced cancel culture. What are you even talking about? And all these, Fox News hosts in their 18th year of hosting a show with huge ratings, you don't have to worry about it. So it's kind of comedic to hear some of the people yelling about cancel culture when they have never even come close to being canceled. And sometimes cancel culture is just like, well, hey man, you didn't move with the times. You are not adapting. The world is moving. The world doesn't say that word anymore. The world doesn't do this anymore. The world is trying not to punch down and make people who are already oppressed feel more oppressed. And you refuse to move along. So the consequences are a network doesn't want to carry your show. A network doesn't want to carry your comedy special. And is that cancel culture? You still got YouTube. You still got venues. You go up, do your thing, create your own audience. And I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it or isn't it? I think that's the best way to phrase it, because it's not that clear. It's not that cancel culture is this. It might, but in most cases, it's not where most of the complaining is coming from.
Entertainment guest visits are powered by Sacred Meds, Canada's best craft cannabis and psilocybin dispensary. Visit sacredmeds.com and mention you heard about them through the podcast to open up a hidden category on their website. And use the code TODCAST at checkout for 10% off your order.
Whiskey
absolute riff masters. They are La Chinga, and their song is called Snake Eyes. It's a bit of an older track for those guys, and likely one you might see this Friday if you go check them out at Lana Lou's. So Friday, March 24th in Vancouver, La Chinga with Quasi-Cosm and Reverend Ape. Doors are at 8 o'clock. It's only $10. That will be a great show. Holy crap, what a deal for 10 bones. Looking forward to next week. You'll hear from 12 guests as they share their first concert experiences. Now, he's not on next week's podcast, but check out Godsmack drummer Shannon Larkin's first concert.
Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, 1981 Point of Entry tour.
Wow.
And Iron Maiden, it was a Killers tour for them, so they still had Paul Di'Anno, Clive Burr on the drums.
Right.
And, oh my God, another life-changing moment for this kid.
Of course, right? Like, talk about setting the bar.
Oh my God. And you know, I'm sitting there, and it was my first big concert, and my sister again took me, and we're sitting in the Capitol Center where the Washington Capitals play hockey, and all of a sudden there I am. I don't know. I was like 12, 13 maybe, and we're sitting there, and times were different, you know. And a stranger beside me hands me a joint. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this, you know?
Yeah.
I'll never forget it, man.
Great.
Another life-changing, career-affirming moment.
Personally, I love hearing about people's first concerts. That's what you will hear next week on the podcast. Of course, wanted to give a big thanks to this week's guests as well. Mobile singer Matt Joly. Matt, love the new album, bud. Thank you so much for sharing it with me. Look forward to hanging out next time you're in Vancouver, tossing back a couple beers. NPC Bikini champ Nicole Cerrini, thank you for taking some time out as well and jumping on a Zoom with us. Congrats on all your success. You're absolutely killing it. And comedian Ali Hassan, dude, I love your work. Looking forward to your show at the Anvil Theater in New West. And thank you again for being a guest. Really, really appreciate your time. And that's going to do it for this one, episode 298. Holy crap, we're only a couple away from 300. Who would have thought? My name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of the podcast. If you like what you heard, please tell your friends. You can subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. Of course, comment and rate the podcast. It helps out with search results and everything else. Follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as well. Search us out through Toddcast Podcast. Huge thanks to all of our excellent sponsors. You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca. If you'd like to sponsor the podcast, you know you can for as little as $10 a day. It's cheap. Contact info is at the homepage. Maybe we'll have a beer, have a coffee, and see what's up. And if you help us find a sponsor, we will give you a commission based on the ad buy. Keep that in mind. Holy crap, what? You're making money from listening to this podcast? Till next time, don't be an asshole. Nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
You've been listening to the Toddcast podcast, powered by Citywide Mortgage Services, dedicated to helping you find the best mortgage rates. Available 7 days a week at citywidemortgage.ca.
GZM Shows and the creators of 6 Minutes are rolling out their newest audio adventure with the podcast Discovering Dad. A cautious single dad with a secret past and his rebellious kids embark on a thrilling quest complete with hidden treasure, villains, and a family curse. New episodes of Discovering Dad roll out weekly starting June 11th on Apple Podcasts. Follow the show so you never miss an episode, or listen early and ad-free as a GZM Show subscriber. Go to gzmshows.com to learn more.
The thing that I fought tooth and nail to bring my son into is Dungeons and Dragons. That is the ultimate solution to parenthood.
I'm Alexis Ohanian. In my podcast, Business Dad, I'm hoping to open up the conversation about balancing careers and family. I talked to Rainn Wilson. I wanted to learn more about Rainn's advice to play D&D with your kids. Business Dad is available now, so be sure to listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.